What a pillock.
I then lined up to pull the brakeless, powerless Toyota down the ramp. We were supposed to be averaging 100 miles a day. So far we've done, well, I've done about 20 feet.
Ready?
No!
Right, he's ready. Gently. Oh, dear God. Go. Stop!
Finally, we were all off the raft, and as a reward, the producers gave us a box of things to help us survive the perils that lay ahead.
Chainsaw, that's good, that's useful.
What is this?
I know what that is, that's a winch.
Some rubber tubing, Durex,
Condoms.
Vaseline, Tampax, and Viagra.
I know we're going to be in the jungle a bit together, but that's a bit extreme.
What kind of party are they planning?
We loaded up the Ann Summers box. Power! Jump-started Hammond's car. Is that working?
Now you're gonna see!
Go! Fire it up! Jungle! And got cracking. The jungle was a worthy adversary. But for hour after hour, we battled our way through.
Do you want more?
This is your marker!
Rainforest. Shit.
Good job!
Oh.
Guys, I left my phone down by the river.
Oh, God. Dipstick.
I'm gonna have to go and get it. Just wait here, okay? Wait here, I'll go get it.
Take care. Oh, mate. Finally, we are making progress.
Hammond!
Yeah?
Did I leave it on that rock?
No, it's on the stump I tied the raft to. Just by the rock. Okay,
Got it.
good.
Let's move!
Now we're making progress, let's keep up the momentum.
Soon we found a logging track where finally we could get to know our cars. Time to find out what is working on my Range Rover. All these dials in the middle made by Smith, so no. Speedo, no. The Range Rover was designed by a man called Charles Spencer King, who was, no question, a genius. Unfortunately, it was then made in the Midlands. Just that'll do. Everything was that'll do. An unbelievable piece of design ruined by Minkies. That said, however, I seem to have bought the only 1980s Range Rover in the world that works.
Given that Land Cruisers are legendarily reliable and bulletproof, this one isn't. Oil pressure gauge not working, temperature gauge not working, fuel gauge, I don't know, brakes not working. That makes this one more special. I have bought the only malfunctioning Land Cruiser in the world, and it is unique and therefore, I think, probably priceless.
Sure, my Suzuki only had three-wheel drive, but I wasn't going to let that tiny detail spoil the day.
You're probably looking at this Suzuki and thinking it's small and comical, it's a toy off-roader, it's for hairdressers and all the rest of it, but I'll tell you what it is. It's plucky. It's a bit like Finland in the war. Look at Jeremy's Range Rover lumbering along, this great, heavy beast of burden. This is like a little mountain goat, it just skips along. Talk to the devil. Hello. Just to let you know, one of your rear lights is hanging off, but it's okay, I can mend it for you with the small Phillips on my belt.
The voice there of the missing member of Van Halen. Darkness fell, but the temperature didn't. How can it be this hot at midnight? How's that possible? Hammond, however, had more to worry about than the heat.
Oh, what the is that? Oh, there's something in here squeaking at me. Oh. Oh, what is that? Oh, I can't stand that. I can't stand that. I've got to get out.
Blashford Hammond insisted we made camp, where to cheer him up, I read some bedtime stories.
This is a book about all the creatures that live in the rainforest that Mr. Sting hasn't told us about. Would you like to hear about the Brazilian wandering spider?
Not really, no.
Causes around 5 human fatalities a year. Lives on the forest floor. What is that?
Head talked. I'm looking for, what's it called? Wandering spider.
Oh, the botfly. Now, this is a marvellous thing. The botfly cannot sting a human directly, but catches smaller insects, lays its larvae upon them, and then releases them. If the smaller host insect then bites the human, the botfly larvae are impregnated into the skin. The larvae then pupates inside the skin, at which point they eat their way out and fly away. The BBC Natural History Unit reports the case of a man who was bitten behind the ear and kept awake at night by the sound of the botfly larvae eating the flesh inside his head.
Hammond didn't have a good night.
What's that? Stick insect! So it's honestly, there's been things on my head. Oh, what is that? There's something just flew in my hair and it's squeaking at me. It's big.
And to be honest, he didn't have a great morning either.
Who has done this?
To get away from the creepy crawlies, I sought refuge in my car.
Okay. Guys!
Oh, there is a snake in your car. He's coming up here. He's coming up here.
Yep.
It's known locally as the big vicious killer snake.
Thanks.
Our raggedy convoy hit the trail with Hammond still moaning.
Come on, who's got my trouser leg?
Has your trouser leg gone missing?
We soldiered on with the Range Rover up front, forging a path through the dense jungle.
Look at it, rescuing other cars, ploughing through here. My sweat being soaked up by the velour.
But soon, the strain of point duty began to show.
This is now smelling hot, this car.
I can smell Jeremy's Range Rover from back here. It smells of imminent failure.
I was right.
Range Rover's just stopped working.
That honestly wasn't very funny 3 series ago, and it really isn't funny now.
I'm not doing it on purpose. No, I haven't got any brakes. That's how I stop. Oh, dear. Oh, no, it's James. He's overheated.
Oh, what a rotten bit of luck.
Missing, broken,
Yeah.
Yeah.
your fault. Because I have been forging a path through this stuff. Bamboo has gone into it, broken my fan, and now my engine's overheating. The plucky Brit has wounded itself helping you out.
Your plucky British car has been defeated by a piece of, what was it? Bamboo. And how did it get in there anyway? What sort of a design is that if a piece of bamboo can get up there and break the fan? Bamboo.
Without this, would you still be on the boat? Yes, you would, and you'd still be on the riverbank.
Yeah.
This is the hero of the day.
No.
We passed the time by bickering until the engine had cooled down.
I love the V8 rumble.
Nice. There's my mighty.
Yes! The mighty Spitfire is down, but not out.
We battled on through the undergrowth.
There, that's a gear.
Did that without breaking anything.
Whoa!
Eventually, Hammond and Mace stopped
Sorry.
because we had reached a small gully.
That's pretty steep. What? That's a bit of a gully, I think they call it.
I was going to drive down out the other side.
No, you can't.
What is the biggest strength with a Range Rover? The wheel hits the bottom before the front of the car. If you look at a Porsche Cayenne or your car, there's about 18 feet of car in front of the wheels.
This car cannot do that. It won't make
Going
that
down,
return.
you
Departure
two.
angle isn't. You won't do it.
Stand back, watch and learn. If you believe something will happen, it will happen. Low range. That was reverse. Pointless handbrake off. Oh no.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, so you're now stuck in a hole.
Just lock the diffs. Just
You great dozy woolly head pillock. It's going to need winching out, you know that.
I knew that a while back.
I fired up the winch on my Suzuki.
James, winch me up.
Is it moving? It's coming.
Yeah, it's trying hard. Come on. It is coming free.
Guys.
Oh my God. James.
It won't stop. That didn't work.
Go on then, drive it out.
It won't drive out. It just won't.
Mystic Hammond was right.
That nearly works.
At last, my Toyota could regain some dignity. First pulling out the Suzuki, and then the idiot's Range Rover.
Woo!
I'm hanging.
Look at my little donkey pulling the Range Rover out.
We realised we'd have to build a bridge, which made one of us very excited.
I am the god of hellfire!
Has he got a chainsaw?
Oh, yes!
Oh, God.
We set about building our bridge. And since James had the lightest car, Jeremy and I decided he should go first.
I declare this, ready, steady, strong. Get in your car, drive over.
Now left. Looks like your back wheels are beautiful, actually. I think you're about right from this side.
Good.
What James really needed at this point was clear instructions from us two.
If anything, a little bit of left. A little bit of left, James.
I'm sorry, on this side I would say not left.
You're left or right?
James,
Bob, if there's anything I do,
what I do at this point is power. Maximum power. You're going to need to engage...
There you go, there you go. Come on, now we're talking. There you go.
Eventually, the three-wheel drive Suzuki made it. So then, as night fell, it was Jeremy's turn in the much heavier and much wider Range Rover.
Whoa!
Left hand down. Honestly, you need to be... Just think of it, Jeremy, as going on the outer log on this side.
It's not looking good from where I am.
No, I imagine not. I can't see the back wheel. It's all right, keep going, I think. You're about to touch down. Nice work. Whoa.
God almighty, that was scary.
As I lined up, it was almost completely dark.
Hammond, I'm afraid we simply can't see anything. We don't know. Left a bit.
This is quite frightening.
Stop. Stop.
Oh, I've got no brakes.
Hang on. Hang on.
Come on. Whoa! Right, you've got the front wheels on, mate. Make it so. Let's see if this is as good.
Lovely.
Oh, that feels good! Ha!
We drove on through the night with the charms of the rainforest starting to wear quite thin.
It is extraordinary if you think about it. In South America, there are no elephants, kangaroos, lions, hyenas, honey badgers. There's nothing interesting at all. It's all just insects designed to make you have a debilitating, agonizing death. I'd love to know how hot this engine is. Very is what I'm thinking.
So, when we made camp that night, I decided to cut some vents in the bonnet.
Jeremy, my car's on fire!
Put beer on it!
I've only got so much.
No, there's a fire extinguisher in the cars. Wait.
Set my car on fire!
I haven't got my glasses.
Pull the bloody pin out! You burned my Toyota! Thank you. Yeah.
Right, day 3, 4.
Oh, it clings. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Lee Roth in the morning. Here he is. James. What we've done, don't do that. What we've done, James, is we've accidentally camped on a road.
Yeah.
This is my spot. What's this?
Let's go to work, and we're camping on the A1.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I took my malaria pill this morning. If I were a girl, I'd be pregnant a lot.
If you're watching this in smell-o-vision viewers, then I apologise because the smell in here is disgusting. It's me. I absolutely reek.
Luckily, we then got a shower. Well, one of us did.
Hammond,
Yes, what?
how wet are you getting in this rain?
No, it's not bad, actually.
It's quite a lot wetter here.
How can the rain be heavier over there than it is over here? That's a river.
It was indeed a river, and one that we'd have to cross, which meant we'd have to use stuff from the Ann Summers chest to waterproof our cars.
Right. These are condoms.
Do you two need some time to yourselves?
Have you got those Tampax?
What are you planning for?
Okay, look, I'll tell you my big problem is my fuel filler cap. Water gets in there. I know that's
You're in a lot of
bad.
trouble, yeah.
So I'm thinking if I put a Tampax in there, it'll expand widthways, and I've seen the adverts. Then I'll be able to go rollerblading with a poodle or drive a Range Rover through a river in the Amazon Delta.
James was suspiciously skillful with the Vaseline and the condoms. And soon we were ready to enter the river.
Now, do I follow in Hammond's wheel marks on the basis that we know how deep it is, or do I think he's an incompetent fool and go somewhere else?
As it turned out, I was an incompetent fool.
That's looking deep!
Oh! Please keep going, little donkey. Swim. 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 There you go.
This is when suddenly the Land Cruiser comes into its own. Yeah, there's maybe more comfortable things that will get you there, but the Land Cruiser will always get you home.
Meanwhile,
It stopped! Ah! Water's coming into my car!
oh, this caused problems for James.
You're going to have to go round the outside. Straight ahead there. I'll tell you when to go right hand down. Good. There.
Oh, God.
Good, that's two. Good.
Okay.
Why did he tell me to go? Why did I listen to you imbecile?
Rather than accept another winch from the Toyota, the Range Rover decided to start on its own. Thus removing the obstacle James had been trying to avoid when he got stuck.
As far as that works, he's dragging it even deeper.
Oi, it's floating.
There's a lot of bubbles came out of your petrol filler cap.
That's just air.
I know, but they've been replaced with water.
This whole episode made James very angry.
If you hadn't tried to be clever, and if your car wasn't so unreliable, you wouldn't have stopped. I wouldn't have had to go around the outside in my small off-roader, and I wouldn't have sucked.
Unreliable?
It
Which one's
stalled.
got its engine on?
It's stalled.
It started again.
Mine will start again.
The rainforest is just getting worse. But I'll tell you something. If you look over there, would you not think it's getting thinner?
It was, and soon our battered cars emerged from the trees. At last, we were out of the spider-infested sweatbox. But 10 minutes later, James and Richard wished they were back in it.
Just ask me this simple question. How comfortable are you two right now?
You know, it's absolutely lovely. It's like a big feather mattress. I really am. Oh, yeah, relaxing. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I would have broken James's spine. Be two Ted Nugents in a minute.
Oh, I'm so sick of that noise! Stop rattling at me!
Take what you need, in any way that you please. Isn't it us? You're great, you got it away with it. Nothing to get in.
We spent the night in a town where there were baths and bedrooms, and then we hit the road once more.
Well, here we are. This is cocaine country. Kate Moss's delicatessen. Obviously, we can't simply drive through this region without registering our disgust at the vile and reprehensible drugs trade that brings misery to so many millions. May, have you seen what Hammond has written on his car?
Yeah, I don't think he's quite understood what we're trying to do here.
Hammond, are you feeling ashamed of yourself?
There was an opportunity, I took it. I think that was quite good thinking.
But what about the untold misery to millions?
It's an untold misery to millions. Are the ratings really that good?
As we left town, we started to climb, and that was a problem for the Range Rover.
Every time we go up any form of gradient for any period of time, the engine gets very, very warm. Still nothing's working, apart from the demist.
Soon the engine became so hot, I had to get radical.
The scope of my engineering genius literally knows no bounds. Because, as you can see, the vents I cut in the bonnet are now windows. So I can see where I'm going, the engine is cool, all is well.
Sooner or later, Jeremy will have to admit that the Range Rover isn't working properly.
We were now only 110 miles from La Paz, but between us and it was the Campione del Muerti, Death Road, the most dangerous highway in the world. Over the years, the sheer unguarded drops have claimed hundreds of lives. And to make matters worse, Captain Terrified of Heights didn't really have the car for the job.
James?
Yes.
I don't know about the rear suspension design on a Suzuki.
The shock absorber is traditionally attached at both ends. That's not absorbing shocks,
Look,
which means
that is
it's bouncing around on the spring. But that does affect your control quite badly, not having a shock absorber.
Can I
Thanks
make
for
a
telling me.
suggestion?
I'm glad you said that up here, Hammond.
Well, I'm
on my favourite road. Hang on, before you go.
What?
I genuinely don't like heights, OK?
Oh, no.
It's my biggest failing. Among many, I accept. You know that you drive into the back of my car and it's a very funny joke?
You don't want it to happen to you.
Well, you want me to drive into it?
No.
No.
I'll cut your head off. You will need a beep there, BBC Two.
Yeah. I can understand.
Seriously.
My car is perfect in every way apart from it not starting. So could you, if you wouldn't mind, push me a little bit?
So you want me to push your car with my car now on this road here?
Yes, there's no alternative.
OK, well, here I come. Careful, careful, careful. Oh, it wasn't as careful as it could have been. Sorry.
Pretty soon, we saw why the road had earned its name.
God almighty, that is high. That is a massive, massive drop.
This is insane.
Whoa. Because the grasses stick up and you don't necessarily see what a long way down it is, and then you get one of those little gaps. And then you just see down and it is a long way. There's one there.
The dust didn't help either.
Oh, gee, look at that. That's narrow. I'll say. I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't understand the rules on this road. You seem to drive 1 minute on the left, 1 minute on the right. Sometimes the lorry stops going the other way to let you go through. Sometimes they don't. Some lorries pull over. Others come barreling up behind you doing 3.5 times the speed of sound. It's completely baffling.
Thank you. But I'm coming up against the truck. I've got to go past him, and that means going on that side. Looking straight ahead. Breathe.
Moments later, James slowed down to let a mad local get past.
Does that mean there's one of those maniacal taxi drivers?
And I didn't.
Oh, God. Sorry, I was
straight with you about
watching the
this. You're now going to get macheted to death.
I was watching the
I don't
taxi.
care. I did warn you. Did I or did I not warn you?
James is killing Jeremy. But things are going well.
I was watching the taxi.
You weren't.
I was watching the taxi.
Did your co-presenter on your television programme just attack you with a machete?
Yes, he did. He came to the window. It's quite cross because I ran into him.
That doesn't happen on, like, clothes programmes or gardening shows.
As we climbed higher, life in the already battered Toyota became truly terrifying.
That's my steering. I'm inches from death. There. The steering wheel doesn't do anything. My brakes stick on when I'm going uphill and cause the clutch to slip. I can't breathe because the dust gets in. Oh, God. That's real fear now. When I'm going downhill, the same brakes that stick on going uphill don't stop me.
The Suzuki too was showing the strain.
What is the matter?
It's got dirt in the fuel system from the river.
So it's broken.
It's not broken. Occasionally a bit of it goes through.
Your simple, cheap car is broken.
Sticking to the code of the Top Gear Brotherhood, I left James and Richard behind.
This goes to show they're badly made, these Japanese cars. They're badly made.
James and I decided to stick together.
He's never going to go round us. My God, he is. That's insane. Oh! Right. I'm in a ditch. Okay. Yeah. Didn't see this. Whoa! What a thing to miss. Right.
No biggie, though, because my colleague would winch me out in a jiffy.
Hold on.
What?
The winch isn't working.
I'm now all on my own on Death Road. I have no idea where Ray Mears and Ted Nugent are. They've just disappeared. They have no phones, they're not on the radio. Up there, could be dead.
We would, in fact, be dead quite soon, judging by the mood of the angry, stuck locals.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Handbrake off, etc. Ditch is going to level out, so it'll be fine.
There you go. What a nice man.
Soon, though, I wished I'd stayed in the ditch, because the Toyota had developed yet another fault.
Something's broken on that back corner. This is pretty close to undrivable now. Right!
Meanwhile, very far ahead. I'm now at 5,500 feet above sea level and still climbing. Oh God, crosses. A lot of crosses there. And then underneath a waterfall, I learned why there were so many crosses up here. Oh my God. No. Oh my. Stop there! Nuts. That is going. That is going. Bloody hell.
We were still miles back. It was almost dark, and worse still, James's alternator wasn't charging the battery.
By how much is running your car with headlights on going to shorten the life of the battery and then kill the engine?
Well, I don't know exactly, but by quite a bit. They're already getting a bit dim, to be honest. God, this is murder.
Pretty soon, the inevitable happened.
My car is now dead and without a new battery.
Since the alternator was one of the few things working on the Toyota, I swapped my live battery for James's dead one.
And I think that was pretty good of me to donate my battery to you.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. And this time, we're not going to run with your lights on.
No, OK. We'll use the torches.
Yes.
Hang on a minute.
Strap a couple to the front.
Okay, I've waited till nightfall here at the summit of the Death Road, and my colleagues aren't here, which means they must be dead. I've therefore made them these, I think, rather touching memorials.
With the torches fitted, this was my view of Death Road.
Hammond, I want to say something to you that I wouldn't say at any other time.
What?
Please don't leave me.
Oh, God, those words are going to stay with me for a bit. I'll struggle to get over that. No, I won't.
The next morning, we were all reunited in La Paz, the world's highest and worst capital city. But as we waited for our next instructions, the mood was frosty. You ready?
No.
La Paz,
I still haven't actually forgiven you as such. You know that, don't you? It's not like we've all been all mates now and have forgotten that you abandoned us to die. Just so you know.
I couldn't go back to the hotel, eat a pepper steak, have a beer, and go to bed feeling good about myself if I just left my mates
to go to
behind.
bed.
And then
I
wrote
had
to
to
my
go to
mates
bed.
the next morning that the pepper steak wasn't very good.
I thought you were dead. I had a simple ceremony for you.
Oh, yeah. And then what did you do? You went on.
I said kind words about you.
What are we doing? Come on.
Between La Paz and the Pacific Ocean, there is the Altiplano, where the altitude will cause you to have a pulmonary edema. Then there's the Andes, where you will have a cerebral edema. And then the Atacama, which is 50 times drier than Death Valley. It has never rained. It is the driest place on Earth, and there is no life, not even bacteria. Given that our lungs and brains would explode in the deserts and mountains that lay between us and the Pacific, we decided to modify our cars a bit. So it was time to find a workshop and cue the music.
Or have you got Spider in car for Ham?
Oh, no. You can't see through the window.
Stick to hammers.
That's the precision tool board. The hammer lives elsewhere.
The next day, we left La Paz well prepared for the trials that lay ahead.
So, I've lifted the Land Cruiser, obviously, very simply. Gives me room for the bigger, wider tyres I'll need for the desert sand. Roll cage for safety, obviously. And then to get rid of some of the weight, I've lost the doors because they were steel and very heavy, and the roof and anything else I didn't need.
What I've done to prepare for the desert is team a rather fetching hooded cardigan with some old combat trousers and some big wheels on my car. Wow, James has been busy. Whoa, yes. You've modified that, mate.
As you can see, what I've done with my car is mended it.
The modifying brothers were very pleased with their results.
This is fun, I liking this.
Lovely man.
Oh yeah.
But after a few miles, the smiles had gone.
Hammond, I've made my car worse.
Ow!
It won't ride properly and the tyres are catching on the wheel arches and it's got no power anymore.
Oh God. Hey, I'm having to work my engine quite hard. The problem is, you see, put bigger wheels on and it has the effect of gearing it up. The first gear is like starting in third. It's hard work. And long and the short of it, I've rather ruined it.
James has just overtaken me in his 1 ounce box.
That face is smug, I don't like it.
Because I'd made my car better, as we climbed onto the Altiplano, I could relax and enjoy the backdrop.
Look at that sky. That's one of the best skies I've seen for a very long time.
James, does it get hotter or colder when you're at altitude? I've forgotten.
I'm pretty sure it gets much
Hotter. No, hang on, sorry. Colder.
Well, there's only one way we can accurately determine what temperature it is, and that's by talking to our colleague.
I know what you're thinking. I'm fine.
As darkness fell, we pulled into a petrol station. And in the shop, we found a bit more than Kit Kats and pies. Oh, wait a minute. Caramelised cocaine. Now, that's something you don't see in every motorway service station.
Wow.
You take it and then you talk for hours. Let's have that. In fact, the sweet is made from coca leaves, which are legal and used by locals to ward off the effects of altitude sickness.
Look, they're
Hammond found them very Moorish.
nice, they're caramelised. I've had about 6.
Luckily, this had no effect at all.
All the camper gear and everything, and get there. And then when you got there, the journey was over. And this was before the M5 was done. And there was like a high bit and a low bit. And we always used to say, is this the high-low bit? And Mum and Dad would say, yeah, or no, if it wasn't. And then we knew how far it was to go to Weston. But we used to have to go through Bristol, which I always thought was a bit scruffy. That's just quite nice.
The next morning, we woke on the staggeringly beautiful Bolivian high plains.
we couldn't see any of this in the dark, but it's absolutely breathtaking. Look at it.
It's taking all my breath away.
There's no breath to take away. We're at 14,000 feet according to your gizmo.
14,000?
14,006 feet.
What's that?
This measures your sats. On casualty, they always do this. Somebody gets wheeled in, they put one of these on their finger, and I think it's something to do with how much oxygen there is in your red blood cells. Because it's always, if it's less than 98 or 99, you've had it. And Tina Hobley comes.
What's yours?
87.
That's less.
Much less.
Where's Tina Hobley then?
Do you want, just try yours. I bet you can't get it to go less than 87. That's how ill I am.
89.
89? Well, you're nearly dead. I am dead.
88, I'm not much better.
If you went into a doctor's surgery in England with SATs of 88, they'd put you in hospital.
84.
In fact, the only thing in a dodgier state than me were the modifications on my car.
What's happened?
Broken my front right spring. Completely clean. Sheared it off both ends.
You're joking. Bloody hell, fire. So that is supposed to be connected to that?
Yep. And it snapped clean off.
While trying to mend the modified suspension,
Bit more.
there was another problem.
Your prop shaft fell off.
That'll do you. What?
Your prop shaft just fell off.
Since there was no AA to call, it took us all morning to get it fixed. But eventually, we were off. And apart from James driving into a village well...
Sorry,
Leave it.
we made good progress toward the Chilean border.
I'm in a fantastic desert with my two mates. All the cars are working. Look at that, look at that. It's great. It's an adventure.
And soon we reached a big milestone.
1 mile, James, and we've done it. Bolivia. Let's roll in as a threesome. You look at these trees, you'd never believe they were still running.
Most scrapyards would reject them.
At the border post, we were given the traditional welcome. Hope he doesn't find the tampons. Or, rather worryingly, the Viagra. Drugs check over, we entered Chile, where the scenery became even more sensational.
Those are flamingos. They actually are flamingos. I've never seen them in the wild. Wow.
Unfortunately, we were still climbing.
Are you ready? 45 feet to go. 30 feet to go.
Here it comes.
5, 4, 3. You're there! We're there!
15,006 feet. We are now higher than the highest peak in Europe.
And we're still driving.
Soon, the altitude would become a big issue. But the next day, Hammond had an even bigger one. His clutch had gone.
Oh, God. Oh, come on. It won't come out of gear. I'm trying to rock it on the starter motor with it in. Ah! There you go. Right, we're away. Into seconds, match the road speed. Ooh, hey! There you go.
He's pulled over here at this junction to wait for Hammond. Oh! Dust!
Is that him?
It is.
It is.
We're back as a 3.
Should we move?
Hammond! The donkey lives!
Oh, yeah. It lives on.
At this point, we had a decision to make. We can either go that way, which is very long, or we can go that way, which is short, but does mean driving over an active volcano.
Short.
Volcano.
Yes. Short.
I agree.
Short.
Let's do it. As we climbed, the air became thinner and thinner. 15,400. And climbing. We are definitely the highest motorists in the world. Apart from George Michael, obviously.
Hammond's really got to think ahead with no clutch, and he's got to think ahead with a brain starved of oxygen.
What will be frightening is when I come to need to grab first to get up a steep bit. Because changing down is harder. You've got to guess how high the engine will need to be revving and slot the gear lever in without a clutch.
James, too, was having problems.
Oh God, chaps, my transfer box is jammed.
But these niggles were overshadowed by the big one.
Up at this altitude, this engine is really struggling. You see, for every litre of fuel vapour it gets through, it needs 14 litres of air, and there isn't any. So it's just like me. And that means it's just so down on power.
Up here, James's car had, at best, 20 horsepower. And as we climbed higher, we started to suffer as well.
The breathlessness now is pretty acute. Just talking is hard work.
I'm starting to feel a bit... Jesus, no, I'm feeling really quite weird.
The terrain levelled out, so we pulled over to catch what we could of our breath.
Do you feel sort of drunk, but it's not pleasant?
Yeah,
exactly
that. My whole head feels like I've got run spin.
It was time for drastic action.
Cyanide.
No. Viagra.
Hey, is this the time?
Apparently, Viagra, for reasons unknown to science, stops you having an edema in your lung.
I thought it was more the trouser department it concentrated on.
Well, that might be a side effect of what you're about to do.
Down the hatch.
Here we go.
Nothing's happening.
It doesn't work.
Nothing's happening.
I can't swallow it.
Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening.
I even drink.
I'm going to get a massive neck if I don't have some of that.
Apparently, that will save our lives. Oh, God.
Don't make me laugh.
Just taken Viagra on top of the Andes.
Yeah.
Sadly, though, it didn't seem to have any effect at all.
I'm getting a headache. And I'm feeling sick. Come on, come on.
The big question now was this: which would give out first? The cars or the men?
Come on. Come on. Please pull. Every gear change is so critical now that I get tense about it. That raises my heart. And then I need oxygen all the more.
Still there, Hammond?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm having to go slow because
Yeah, bridge changing up to third.
I don't think I'll make it.
Okay, mate, we'll slow down. We're a team up here, because this isn't funny.
God, Jeremy's talking about being a team. That's for the altitude.
At 16,700 feet, the Toyota broke down again.
My transfer box has just gone.
James and I stopped to help, and then we couldn't get going again.
The engines just aren't getting any air at all. There's just no... James can't get his started. I can't get mine started. I haven't got any air to work. Once we get the Range Rover going, and that's the most likely to start, we can get everything started. Right.
On 3,
Can we move it?
2, 3,
And go! And go!
Pushing a Range Rover at this altitude damn near killed us. But eventually the big beast fired, and once again the most unreliable car in the world got the others going as well.
Go on. Oh, yeah.
Bloody hell.
My lips are now tingling.
I get the feeling something's got to give soon.
Jesus Christ, my head. At 17,200 feet, we pulled over again.
Hammond,
Yeah.
even if the cars could get over that, when I seriously doubt they could, I can't. They're just pushing on so stupid. Seriously, I'm calling it a day.
I think you could be right.
We really were in trouble, so we turned round and headed back down. Fast.
$16.2. Still feeling weird.
Breathing's better.
With every foot. The engine's gonna run smoother. My body's gonna run smoother.
We then went the long way round, and finally, drunk on oxygen, we made it to the other side of the Andes.
Oh.
Air.
It's so underrated.
It's thick.
It's like breathing soup.
It's thick. Yeah, you can bite off pieces of it and chew it.
It's like lung nectar.
There's just one small thing that's occurred to me, chaps. What? Where the hell are we?
We were in the Atacama Desert, where there is no life at all, not even on a cellular level. Richard Hammond was the smallest living organism for miles. There was nothing here at all, except for one road.
Oh, yes.
The Pan America Highway.
Running is smooth. View is spectacular. Temperature is low.
But the mad dash down the mountain had been too much once again for the modifications on Hammond's Toyota.
Have to stop. Oh, God. Didn't sound good.
Did you actually hear something?
Oh, yeah.
Oh dear.
I think, James, we can safely say that what's happened there is my prop shaft has fallen off.
And the prop shaft was only half of it.
What's broken?
Div.
It's actually shattered.
Absolutely exploded.
Good God. I'm surprised that didn't somersault the car.
I've just heard on the radio that Richard Hammond's Land Cruiser is in serious trouble.
Happily, the Top Gear orangutan elected not to stop and help. And as a result, James and I quickly got the Toyota working again.
We reconfigured it. It's now running front-wheel drive only. So it's now just its front legs dragging itself along. Still working.
We were now tantalizingly close to the Pacific Ocean, the finish line.
I think there can be no doubt this has been our toughest assignment ever. No question about that. It's nearly killed us, it's nearly killed our cars.
It is incredible to think that these cheap cars bought unseen on the internet had crossed the Amazon rainforest. They'd scaled the most dangerous road in the world, and they'd still been working when their drivers had broken down in the Andes. We didn't just respect them, we loved them.
I have a teddy bear. I've had it since the day I was born. One of its arms has fallen off, one of its eyes is missing, its head's come off more times than I can mention. To you, it would be worthless junk, but to me, it means everything, and it's the same story with this car.
Yeah, the ride's terrible, it's a bit noisy. It doesn't actually handle that well, and I'm always worried that it's going to fall over. But it's done everything the big boys have done, hasn't got stuck any more often, and the only time it's really gone wrong is as a result of its dunking in the river. I think the plucky little car's done all right.
From the very start of the trip, when I couldn't start it on the raft, I just thought, oh no. But I didn't know it then, I didn't know how determined it was. Honestly, this thing is like that Black Knight in that Monty Python sketch, where they're fighting with swords and he gets his arm cut off. No, no, 'tis but a scratch. It's a great little car.
As our exhausted convoy drew nearer to the coast, weirdly, the road started to climb again.
40 miles to go, and we've got to drop 2,300 feet down to sea level. We must start going downhill in a minute.
But it didn't. The punishing climb continued.
I can smell a boiling engine.
Is the drop at the other end just sheer? Because we're nearly at the Pacific now, and I'm 4,000 feet up.
Soon, though, we turned off the Pan America and headed through the dunes to the finish line, where unfortunately there was one more obstacle in the way. A big one.
Hang on a minute.
Whoa, wait.
Look how bloody steep it is.
God above.
I can see now why they said four-wheel drive.
I've only got three-wheel drive.
I've only got two.
I was going to say, what if you dig in?
If you dug in and started to roll, the chances of you being alive at the bottom are nil.
We therefore decided to get some practice on a smaller dune first.
Are we ready, chaps?
Ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2...
No,
Give me strength. Give me strength.
What?
Just before we do this, I wanted to say...
Oh, shit. No! Oh, my...
Donkey! His wheels come off! Oh.
Donkey was dead. And in some ways, I was relieved, because it meant I no longer had to drive down that dune.
This is utterly, utterly, utterly stupid. I wouldn't do this in a brand new Range Rover.
James, are you ready?
Yeah, are we going for second gear, Jezza?
Second gear, low range, and I've got my diff locks in. Have you got your diff locks in?
I haven't got diff locks.
Good luck, boys.
3,
2, 1.
go!
Oh my God. I don't know where... Oh Christ, I don't know where the wheels are pointing.
Oh, I don't think so.
It's going sideways.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Don't you dare go sideways again.
The soft sand was a nightmare, and the gradient meant that pretty soon we were fighting to keep control.
a straight line, you metal.
Come on. Come on. Oh, it's going a bit fast now. A 900-year-old, utterly ruined Range Rover.
Ah! Ah!
Levelling out. It's levelling out. It's levelling out. Once again, we had shown what the car, even when it's an old crock, is capable of. Well, two of us had. But when we finally regrouped by the water's edge, Hammond still believed he'd chosen wisely. Are you going to try and argue?
It was extraordinarily good. It's led a very hard life, and it died a noble death. I think valiant.
I think rubbish. It has been a constant source of problems and delays.
But it was old and arthritic and had been beaten every day of its life.
These two were old and arthritic, but they are here, and the Land Cruiser is 2,800 feet above us up there.
Forever.
That's
well,
it.
can I just make the case for the Suzuki, because I know what you're thinking. Plucky little car. Helped you out a few times, push started.
I agree, it push started the Range Rover.
Technically never really broke down. The alternator was a bit dodgy, I know.
And it didn't survive very well in the puddle.
But I'd like to say, most importantly, the ride is rotten.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because of that, because it's almost ruined your spine, and because yours isn't here, we have a startling conclusion, I think, to the show. It turns out that the most unreliable car in the world is the most reliable car in the world.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Range Rover.
Not what anybody expected, but
Nobody expected that.
Oh, come on, we can be proud.
Come on, we can be proud of that. That is easy to be proud to be proud. Hello and welcome to a Top Gear special. That is Resolute, the most northerly town in Canada, way in the Arctic Circle. And we're here because we're going to have a race. 400 miles over mostly frozen ocean in that direction to the North Pole.
I should be travelling using traditional methods. Husky dogs, sledge and skis.
Yes, and I'm going to try and beat him in a car. Now, that's never been done before. No one has ever tried to drive to the North Pole.
And here's why. On the way, he would encounter ice boulders as big as cathedrals, polar bears the size of hatchbacks, temperatures that would freeze the fuel in his tank, and, if Al Gore is to be believed, open water into which he would sink. Victory, then, would be mine. Right, time to meet my team. The engines powering me to the pole would be 10 Husky dogs. Where the car would get stuck or crash through the thin ice, they'd be fine. And driving them would be Matty McNair, one of the world's leading sled dog explorers and racers.
Dogs have been living up here for 4,000 years. They can go through anything. They can go through cold, they can go through blizzard. I have a lead dog that can find the hard-packed ice and go through it like that. He figures out a good route.
So hang on, that's terrain,
Yeah,
weather,
yeah.
they're made for. And what about this? I've just been weed on. Did they have to wee on me?
They're fast.
To beat the human lamppost, I would be using, naturally, a Toyota pickup truck. It's a tough old bird, this, but even so, for the trip to the pole, it had been sent to Iceland for a few modifications. The biggest change, apart from the gun, obviously, are the enormous wheels. Cuban wheels, I like to call them. Give it a bit of extra height. The tyres are handmade, cost £2,500 each. They're so vast, in fact, that the front suspension has had to be moved forwards, otherwise you wouldn't be able to open the door. Other changes, well, it's got heavy-duty diffs, heavy-duty suspension, it's got a sump guard about that thick in case we hit a piece of pretty much solid 300-year-old ice. And then at the front, I insisted it was fitted with these powerful spot lamps, although that might have been a bit unnecessary since it's currently 11:30 p.m. and this is as dark as it ever gets. Inside there was marine satellite navigation, and underneath a long-range fuel tank filled with a freeze-resistant mixture of diesel and avgas. In fact, all I need to complete the picture is a guide and a navigator. Now, Richard Hammond has been given Matty McNair, who is one of the world's leading Arctic experts. Me, I've been given him.
Can I just make it absolutely clear now that I'm only here because the producer said I had to be? I don't like snow. I hate being cold. I hate outdoor pursuits. I hate the idea that I've got to push my body to find the limit. I can't stand this stupid clothing that makes this rustling noise when you move all the time. And I hate the zips and the toggles and all the pockets and that. And I hate your stupid truck.
Listen, shh. If we make it, look at it this way. You will be the first person ever to go to the North Pole who didn't want to be there. So we had the right tools for the job, which just left us. We're not what you'd call polar explorers. So earlier in the year, we'd been sent to a cold weather training camp in the Austrian Alps. We were put in the hands of some Arctic experts who showed us what salami was and how to put an anorak on. And to be honest, our minds kept wandering. There was a man who had a car once.
There was that.
Wasn't it that bloke who let everything? Yeah, aeroplanes, a light aeroplane.
But then a doctor snapped us to attention.
There's your foreskin around the end here has been frostbitten. Right. Should we go straight to the frozen penis?
Oh!
He'd been walking with it hanging out of his trousers.
How do you walk with your willy hanging out?
What? Which comes down to organisation and teamwork.
Well, it's more than disorganised. I mean,
It's a good job he didn't do it on the London Underground. You'd be arrested for permanently getting on public transport with it hanging out. The doctor then moved on to the important question of how we do our number twos.
Okay. You've got to be quick.
he can't be. I mean, we've nearly missed entire programmes because he's...
Sometimes Top Gear is, and I'm not joking now, delayed by an hour.
No, well, I get the runs very, very easily, especially if I go abroad, which the North Pole is.
All doctors say better out than in.
But that's not true of your penis in -50, is it?
Essentials for the Arctic crap. Take your gun with you, put your bog roll on your gun and take a shovel.
Take your gun with
to the loo?
Absolutely. All the bears love to creep up on you when you're taking a crap and you've got your trousers down.
That's not exactly sporting of them, is it, really?
The next day, it was time for some outdoor training, but to be honest, it was freezing. So we went for a cup of coffee instead. I mean, if it's like this when we get to the pole,
yeah,
we'll sort of cross that bridge when we get to it. How can you practice being cold?
Snow is snow, and there's no point going out there today, catching our death.
Exactly, then you wouldn't be able to go because you'd have a cold.
Eventually, though, the weather cleared, and I gave May and Hammond their first ever skiing lesson.
I can't go because of the wind.
Richard, in particular, would be spending a lot of time skiing alongside his dogs. Keep them so that the tips are like that. Don't worry about him. You need to go a bit more downhill or level your skis out.
I'll go downhill, I'll slip.
James wasn't much better. James, please put them on.
Yeah, I'm coming down here to put them on, otherwise I'll just fall over and it's pointless.
It's the same here as it is there. Push off, and then to stop, just kick the arse out of the skis with your heel. Yes, don't cross them.
Oh, thanks a bunch! It's taken me 20 minutes to get there!
We can go together, go on.
No, I've only got one ski on.
Progress was painfully slow.
It's not on.
Oh, God, sorry. Sorry.
Right. We've done See where we've come from?
Yeah.
30, 40 yards, and you've got 400 miles to ski. We were then taught how to erect a tent. Our instructor was a former Special Forces soldier who arrived with a pixelated face. And he was very bossy.
We can do this now, or we can do it at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't care.
The only good thing is that it can't possibly be colder than this in the Arctic.
Because you've broken that one, you have to push it. You've now got poles stuck in here that you have to get out, and you have no way of...
I didn't break it, it
Well, who
broke.
broke the elastic then?
The man with the funny face was getting more and more irritated.
I've just had a brilliant idea.
What's the idea?
Why don't we just tow a caravan?
James, feed it through.
You want to do it?
Yeah? What are you doing?
Put your foot on there. Leave your foot on.
If this blows away, that's it. It's game over, yeah? There's no like, oh, we'll just get another tent down the co-op, yeah? It's a case of this tent is it.
That's not gone well.
You haven't got that end.
I missed it.
These are packed with ice, these things.
We've got a tent. Take it back to where we're putting the tent up.
Finally, quite a bit later, the tent was up.
I think you can sleep in it.
Sadly, our ordeal was not yet over, because the man with the ruined face was going to show us how it would feel to fall through the polar ice.
Right, in your own time, I want all three of you to jump in. What's the problem?
Well, hang on. So at the pole, would all three be standing in a line with safety harnesses on, holding poles when we fall in the water? It's a silly test. I'm not doing that.
And actually, to be honest, the whole point of this is that you have to be able to take your clothes off and put more clothes on again very quickly. And I've practiced that in my hotel room.
What is it when you've got, like, a tingling down your arm and chest bag?
He's got it.
Pull yourself out! Pull yourself out! Come on! Put your effort in! Don't want to stay in there all day! Drop the pole!
How dare you?
Hands above your head! Hands above your head! Hands above your head! Okay, roll in the snow! Roll in the snow! Roll in the snow!
Roll the snow, Jamie. That'll make you much better rather than a big pink fluffy towel. That looked awful.
I'm staggered.
Do you know what, though? I like to think of us as a unit on Top Gear, and as a unit, we've done that test.
Our instructors were not impressed with that theory and decided we needed our heads banging together. So they drafted in the legendary Arctic explorer, Sir Ranulph Fiennes.
The problem we have is that we can't really get into our heads that this is a particularly dangerous place to go. But you think it is?
No, I don't think it is. I know that it can be because of what's happened to me in that area over the last 36 years. You will have the polar bear problem, you will have the ignorance problem, because you lot are apparently ignorant, and thirdly, the fact that you will all start hating each other because of the extreme cold having an effect. The hatred is very real, and you don't want to laugh about it, which I think you lot seem to be doing.
Then we moved on to frostbite, and Ranulph showed us what had happened to his hand after it had been immersed in polar water for just a few moments.
That's my left hand. So eventually all those red areas were amputated. And that is, if you look at the proper hand there, you can see how much is missing and froze off. That was a 3-minute mistake.
If we, in the car, say, went through a hole in the ice and you fell in the water at that temperature, what are the chances of survival?
If your whole body fell in and the car had gone in and your tent had gone in, because you presumably stowed that in the back of the car, you could probably survive for, if there was no wind, hours. But I probably prefer in those circumstances to go quickly rather than slowly.
Back in Resolute, I was glad I'd had the talk from Ranulph, but not so glad that I'd had a skiing lesson from Clarkson.
What?
You're not very good.
That's because you taught me the wrong kind of skiing. This is cross-country. You did downhill. You may as well have taught me to play the banjo.
And as 0 hour approached, I was also struggling to bond with the dogs.
Oh, there's a pile of poo there!
Mind Mind you, Clarkson wasn't doing much better with his snow driving practice. And James was rubbish with a shotgun.
Whoa!
And then, to make matters worse, we met the local weatherman.
My colleague here is convinced we're going to fall through the ice. Now, have you seen on the map?
You're going to Elefrinus Island.
Okay, now that's all frozen to a depth of 9 feet.
Not all of it is frozen. There's some open water. The problem is that we know only so much about that region, and you are exploring that region at an incredible speed.
How safe would you say it was up there?
With the car, it's a total unknown. There's all kinds of dangers waiting for you, and you don't see that the ice is just a few centimeters thick.
You've got a patch, but you wouldn't look any different from the top.
That's right.
You couldn't see it at all.
That's what gets most people.
I just wanted Richard to see it.
Yeah.
This was a man who attempted to go to the North Pole on a sledge.
People go to the pole all the time on sledges, don't they?
And he's being
that's how you get around.
eaten.
He is being, maybe he's giving him a cuddle.
0 hour. And even though our talent was small and the dangers ahead were plainly immense, we were looking forward to the off. Well, 2 of us were.
Look at that awful expanse misery.
Are you cold?
No.
Are we falling through the ice?
Not yet.
Well, cheer
How
up.
far have we gone?
I haven't set off yet.
Quite.
Who do you think's going to win this race?
I think we're all going to die.
Let's go to the pole. Go.
I can't believe it. I'm going to the pole with a dog team.
Oh, hang on, stop. What? Stop.
Oh, and they're stuck. They're stuck. Forgotten the dog.
Give me strength. I knew he was going to be bad on this trip. I didn't know he'd be this bad.
Hurry up.
I'm going now. Here we go. Yeah!
You're such a Viking. Gently.
No, gently. You don't have time for gently now because you forgot your gloves. So here we are, going further north than any car had ever been before. Riding on a thin crust of ice over an ocean 1,500 feet deep. Just us, a film crew, 2 Icelandic mechanics and a soldier. An insignificant 9-man blot in the pristine white vastness. How far have we gone?
3 kilometres.
3?
Yes.
And it's taken us about, what, 3 minutes?
Something like that.
There you are. You see, James? I told you we were there in no time.
This won't last, this sunny sky, smooth snow stuff.
Yes, it will.
It won't.
It will.
It won't.
Ow! But it did last. The sky stayed blue, the ice stayed smooth, and we opened up a huge lead over Team Dog.
It's the first time I've told Matty this is only the 3rd time I've had skis on my feet. It's really hard. I know, okay, lots of people ski these days, but I grew up in Birmingham.
The car had disappeared into the distance, but Matty told me the hare would be unstuck by ice that was too thick, or drowned by ice that was too thin, and that the tortoise would then take the lead. I wasn't so sure.
With things going so well for us, I tried to get James to buy into our expedition.
I admire Hammond for doing what he's doing. I admire all Arctic explorers, but I think the time has now come for the world to say, let's see how easily we can get to the top of Everest. Let's see how easily we could get to the North Pole. And I think we could forge a career as the world's worst explorers.
Surprisingly, James was ahead of me on that one.
What would really make it nice is a gin and tonic. Would you like one? What? Gin and tonic? Yes, I'd like a gin and tonic. Can't have a gin and tonic because we're in the Arctic Ocean.
I'll make
What? You've got gin! I have. And because we're in international waters, there's no drink driving laws.
Exactly.
Got the ice. That's a stupid question, isn't it?
You just slow down while I slice the lemon with gin and tonic.
Now this is Arctic exploration. And please do not write to us about drinking and driving, because I'm not driving, I'm sailing. Cheers.
HMS G&T ploughed on, and although we occasionally got stuck, our Icelandic mechanic showed me a neat trick for getting going again.
So you just rock it gently and it just scoops a tiny bit of snow with each rock.
Raven, whoa, 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 ha, 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 ha. Good boy.
Our target was 5 to 6 miles an hour, but on the first day, we hadn't done anything like that.
Been on the go 10 hours. We've done 36 miles. Not good. Not good news. Problem is, we're standing on sea ice. It means it's got salt in it. It's incredibly grippy. The sledge can hardly move. I've been skiing for about 9.5 hours of those 10. I'm broken.
James and I had problems too. We couldn't kip in the car in case it fell through the ice while we were asleep. So we had to build a tent.
Everything about tenting is designed to make your life just a little bit more difficult than it need be. I would dearly like to meet the man who designed this and took it to his boss and said, "Sir, I've made a bed because you take this piece of elastic off, it just isn't a bed, it's just not a mattress. Look, you roll it out like that, and then you've got to go back and get the other one." I mean, why didn't his boss just say to him, "Jenkins, you imbecile, it's not a bed, it's rubbish. Everything's crap." Morning. This is what I wake up to every morning. Frost. All over my sleeping bag, it's frozen. I took my balaclava off because it had frozen all around where I was breathing through it, in my tent with the floor made of snow.
With us, of course, things were more civilized.
As you know, what I'm trying to do with this mission is prove that Arctic exploration needn't be tough. Which brings me on to the delicate question of number 2s. You see, what a traditional polar explorer would do is simply go out there and squat down. Phenomenal. What I've done, though, is fitted this bumper dumper into the tow bar attachment, and now I'm going to try it out. Oh, that's nippy.
James, meanwhile, was on guard duty.
James, are you showing off, or are you actually looking for bears over there? Because I can't run.
Oh, Bartlett, not on the ropes. Matty?
Yeah?
How many poos a day do these dogs need to have?
I'd say 2.
It's 10. It's 10 each at least.
Sometimes I'd look forward to the sledge bogging down so I could get out of the poo stream and run alongside.
Igloo, take it up.
Meanwhile, James was breaking out the 11s.
Chocolates. What can I have? Chocolate. Look, that one's called Big.
I'll have a...
Have a Big.
Now, we should say, if you're watching this is not just gluttony. We genuinely have been told by experts that if you are trekking across the Arctic, you need 5,000 calories a day, so we're not really too happy to shove that much in. I'm not certain when they told us that we needed 5,000 calories a day that we would in a slightly warm car sitting down, but better to be safe. After our morning snack, James found my Jesus.
Why have you brought Jesus?
What?
Why have you brought Jesus?
But Jesus, I thought, could sit in the car and guide us in our hours of need if we ever have one.
It's a Jesus action figure.
It is. There's a map on the back here for guidance.
Galilee.
I was now back on the skis and starting to get the hang of it.
Today, Richard, you've got to learn how to pee on the move.
Pee on the move?
Yeah.
I'm not on! Natty!
We, meanwhile, had reached the vast, uninhabited wilderness of Bathurst Island and were going, if anything, even faster. Our lead over Hammond kept getting bigger and bigger. He is the plucky Brit, and like all plucky Brits, he's going to come in second. But at this point, he had other things on his mind.
Right in this area, seals make little houses known locally as agloos, and they can have their babies in there and raise the pups all warm and safe. Unless a polar bear smashes its way in, which is what's happened here, obviously. Oh look, there's its jawbone with some teeth in it, and that's the rest of the bits of seal that the polar bear didn't fancy that day. Maybe it was full. Hope it still is.
On Bathurst, we got bogged down in the deepest snow we'd encountered so far. But it wasn't a problem, because the Icelandics had another trick up their sleeves. They told us to let nearly all the air out of the tyres. How's that?
It was brilliant. You know, we should explain, 4 pounds per square inch of the tyres. You normally run at, what, 28 or 30 in a normal road car. 4 makes the tyre almost completely flat, so it's all very flobbery, and you have a much wider area touching the snow and ice. That's the plan.
Once on firmer ground, we had to put air back in the tyres. But that was okay, because the car had an on-board pump. If only we'd had a pump for our stupid tent.
How monstrous is this? It's beyond... It's not normal.
I was now over 50 miles behind, but Matty had come up with a plan.
We know we haven't got the edge on speed, so we need to use tactics. This is what we're going to do. It's now about 8 o'clock at night. We've run all day. We've made brilliant progress. We're going to put these guys to bed, hence we've chained them all up. They're going to have a sleep. They're only going to do so for about 3 hours. Then we'll get up again, and then we can run at night. It's cooler for the dogs. They prefer it. They love the colder temperatures because they can run faster and harder.
And so, in the early hours of the morning, when the temperature had dropped to -35, we roused the dogs and ran.
The silence is beautiful. Then, suddenly...
Well, I think they caught our scent earlier on in the day, followed our tracks, but whether or not it's just hanging around and has picked up the scent now as it comes downwind.
As I was pinned down by the bear, Team G&T were getting underway.
Clarkson! I know it's you, you insufferable oaf. I'm on the bloody throne.
We ate up the miles and discussed how we'd celebrate when we made the pole.
See, of all the things you could have brought, champagne, whatever it might be, you brought a tin of Spam.
Yes.
And then we too encountered a bear.
Oh, it's got babies! Sweet!
Not being Attenborough, I couldn't think of anything else to say. So we set off, and with a bit of divine guidance...
I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit.
we made it uneaten to the other side of the island.
Look at that. It's not bad, is it? Absolutely astonishing.
I've been running, I don't know, all day, all night, and now it's day or night and I've got to sleep. I'm confused. My body clock's broken.
Our progress was so good, I decided to find out what Hammond was making such a fuss about. Round, round, get around, I get around.
Yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around, round, round, I get around.
This is brilliant! Yeah! Oh, hang on! Guys! Can you bring a car to tow us out? First time at the wheel, James has managed to put it basically into the sea. That is seawater. If this car goes through, it's game over.
The car was sinking. But luckily, the Icelandics had another trick up their sleeve, a bungee rope. The tow car would set off at a huge speed, building energy in the elasticated rope, which would then pull our stricken car gently but firmly out of the slush.
Okay, Hal, are you ready?
It was brilliant.
Thank God for that.
We were free, but for the first time, James and I had real problems. We'd been warned before we set off that constant tidal movement weakens the ice where it meets the shore. They told us not to drive near the coasts. But how do you avoid them when you're in a fjord?
Look how narrow it is here. It can't be more than a mile, if that. They say don't go near the coasts. You can't not go near the coasts.
To make things worse, the ice here was perilously thin.
This is just, look, it's just completely covered in cracks. We're facing a problem. We cannot, there is no other way through here. I mean, that's a cliff. It's a sheer cliff that way. We cannot go on the land. If we go back, the only way we can go is all the way back to Resolute, giving up.
Based on no knowledge at all, we decided to push on in our 3-ton truck.
It's blue. I know, I'm looking at the ocean.
I know.
If we went through the ice, our only chance of escape would be to smash the glass.
If fast. See, I don't like the look of that.
No, I don't either. I think if we go really far... This is scary. As it dawned on us, the nearest hospital was 1,500 miles away, and the nearest rescue helicopter even further than that. We began to understand the danger of where we were and what we were doing. If we go in here, we're dead, aren't we?
Yep.
I mean, dead. It went on like this for mile after mile. He just drove over here and the whole thing's just collapsed. It's just... that's nothing. Look. Mercifully, though, the ice eventually thickened. But we were still in all kinds of trouble because we knew from pilots who'd flown overhead we were about to enter a massive ice boulder field. And we'd been told we wouldn't have a hope of getting through it. That night, for once, it was James trying to cheer me up. Tomorrow, we hit the boulder field, okay?
Quail's egg?
Ooh, yeah, lovely. Have you got any celery salts? So we've got a choice. We can either go west, where we know it's new ice, which is likely to be jaggedy, or we can go either straight on or east, which is going to be old ice, which is terrifying. We're likely to be down to 2 miles a day going through that way.
Pâté de foie gras?
I know it's cruel and everything, but I really do like foie. So, which do you prefer?
Well, this is a 24-month-old Parmigiano, a Stravecchio, in fact. That should be superb. Anyway, go on, this ice.
We're likely to be down to 2 miles a day. So we do have to make this decision, because tomorrow morning, I think we should leave fairly early.
What would those salmon eggs go really well with?
Well, a crisp white, but we can dream on that.
Like a Chablis, really.
Yes. So do we go... No! No! James! Look what he's got! Wine! I haven't had any for days!
I knew you'd like
A week in Resolute and 3 days on the ice and just surviving on only gin!
Over at Team Dog, we were covering good ground with the nighttime running. But I was getting knackered.
It's weird the way being very tired affects you. Today, privately, whilst being towed along by the sledge, I had a little weep. I haven't done that for years. And out here, the tears cause moisture in your ski goggles and it froze on the inside, so I couldn't see. So then I had something to cry about.
After just 2 hours sleep, though, the dogs were raring to go.
Bartlett, out! Come hold this one. Hold this one. Out! Tama! Get out! Don't touch him. He's scared. He'll bite anybody.
Today, it would be a killer getting over the mountains on Bathurst, and Matty's never-ending bonhomie was starting to grate.
Nothing like a couple hours of sleep to bring your morale up. Okay! Okay!
Oh, God, what are you doing? Oh.
Where's my tea glass?
That's from trying to defrost our foie gras. We put it on the fire and the tin all went rank.
You hit the fire like this?
Oh, get it off, please.
I knew we were in for a tough day and was impatient to get going.
Very unfunny. Idiot.
My iPod stopped working, my little camera doesn't work, my radio transmitter for my microphone outside the car doesn't work. Everything is being ruined by the cold, and yet the car, everything on it, was still working fine. It is remarkable. Which was good, because soon it came face to face with this. This is what we'd been warned about. A massive boulder field full of smashed up blocks of ice, some the size of houses.
How the hell did nature come up with that?
This is the absolute definition of the chaos theory there. However, as we were 90 miles ahead of Hammond and we had no idea about the horrors that lay ahead, we entered in good spirits.
Look at it! Look at that! It's one of those Star Trek scenes, you know, in Star Trek, where they land on a hostile planet.
And that's some other sun.
Yeah, it's that.
You hold the back. Ready? Hike. Take it up. Whoa. Ready? Hike. Let's go. Hike. Come on, let's go.
The boulder field immediately started to bog us down. We couldn't drive over the ice blocks.
That is impossible.
And between them were snowdrifts 15 feet deep.
Each time we spin the wheels, we sink a little bit more.
Even the Icelandic rocking trick stopped working.
Honestly, I can't. Never mind getting to the floor. Right, see, getting. Oh, this is just.
Hold it there! Hold it!
God almighty.
It's very hard work, and very cold, and quite lonely out here.
The boulder field was also a maze. We'd spend hours picking a route. That way.
What?
That way. And then hit a complete dead end.
There has to be another way through here.
Down there, down there, down there.
Then it got even worse.
This is a lump of solid ice, and there's another one at the back. The car's just sunk in between them. It isn't as though there's any help either, because the other two cars are... I can just see one, the other one's miles away, and they're both stuck as well, so we have to get this out somehow. And with each passing minute, Hammond's getting closer. No, James, it won't do it.
Oh, that's ice as well.
It took us 3 hours to chop ourselves free.
Try that.
This has just crippled us. We've been in here nearly a day.
As we got more and more lost in the ice maze, we lost all sense of time and distance.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's just a nightmare. We're just covering inches per hour, literally.
By the time we pitched camp, we'd been in the boulder field for 20 hours and we were only 1 mile nearer to the pole.
In the meantime, we'd cleared Bathurst Island, but the brutal pace was starting to fray my temper.
Thanks. Did you want to see if it fits? I didn't need a new lead dog. He's pretty
You can
retained.
try, but there's nobody else here, and I have a shovel. I wouldn't. One point today, I had to count the dog traces onto the carabiner that holds them to the sled. We untangle the leads and put them back on. There are 10, because there's 10 dogs. Took me 3 attempts to count to 10.
After 2 hours kip, we too were frazzled and starting to understand why no one had ever taken a car to the pole before.
Oh no! Right.
Look at that.
I know. And that is on the horizon, and that is still a lump of ice. That means there's bad ice right out there. We're going to be in here forever.
But we had to get out, because we had limited fuel, limited food, and in here, absolutely no chance of rescue. My dream of a luxury trip to the pole was in tatters.
My hands are freezing, James.
It's not going to work.
I'll just say, when I got down to the bottom of that slope, we were back where we were.
I know.
An hour and a half ago.
In 8 hours,